Hello and welcome to the Futures 3D video training series. My name is Jeff Christiana and this is video number 11 of the ReplicatorG 34 video series on how to edit slicing profiles. Today we're going to show you how to edit your profiles, and with a different, if you've used ReplicatorG in the earlier versions before 20 when you click on Generate G-Code, you'll notice that you can no longer make any changes here. You can select your profile, but you can't go in and edit those anymore. The options are all gone. So we're going to hit Cancel. We're going to go up to G-Code, and we're going to go to Edit Slicing Profiles. Now, Edit Slicing Profiles brings up all of the profiles. And I've created all of these profiles from scratch. These print-o-matics are, I would say, kind of experimental. You can use them, but they're basically default print-o-matic settings, and they need to be probably tweaked a bit. The main purpose of print-o-matic was, let me close out of this, when you went to Generate G-Code and you go click on print-o-matic, you can make your changes on the fly. You can say, okay, this is my nozzle, this is my plastic diameter, it's either 3mm or 1.75, and these are my settings. This is how much I want my infill. I want my, so 0 is hollow, 100% is a solid object, so this is going to be 20% fill. Layer height, 0.15, 0.25, 0.35, the thickness, and we'll talk about more of that when we get into SkeenForge. Number of shells, this is the outer shells of the perimeter. So if you're doing a real thin wall, you want to set it to 0. If you want more structure, a little thicker, you can put 2, 3, 4 in there, and it'll add additional outer shells to your perimeter. For your feed rate, then it shows here, the larger the number, the faster it's going to go. Your feed rate is for your X, Y, and Z axes. This is not adjust your flow rate, which is your E axes. So your feed rate is just your X, Y, and Z, how fast your machine goes on. And then your travel feed rate is how fast it moves from one object to another. I'm surprised there is no setting here for the flow to tell it how much plastic to extrude, but I think what it's doing here is it's taking your plastic, your nozzle, and your plastic diameter to figure out how much flow, how much plastic that's going to come out. So I've used this a little bit. You know, it's okay. Just give it a try, something to experiment with. So let's get back up to Edit Slicing Profiles. So that's what print-o-matic is. These ones here, these are all the same. Now basically what I've done here is I've taken layer height 0.15 and I have tweaked it to where they print out the proper speed, the proper plastic, all of that, and each tip is a little different. We're going to be standardizing on a 0.35mm tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and totally calibrate. Most of these are calibrated for a 0.4 tip, not a 0.35 or a 0.5. Our tips kind of varied from our manufacturer, so now we're going to be standardizing on a solid 0.35mm, and I think that's going to be a real good tip size. And then, you know, if you do choose to buy a larger tip size, a 0.8, a 0.6, even a 1.5 hole, you know, obviously you're going to increase your speed and how much plastic you're going to push out, and we can help you with that. So each one of these basically are the same, and to edit these profiles you go ahead and click on Edit, and that will bring up SkeenForge. Now we're not going to talk about SkeenForge too much. I'm just going to show you the basics real quick here, and that brings up SkeenForge to edit, and you're going to see videos on every single one of these buttons here in the next few days. I'm going to go ahead and close that out, And the same through all the rest. The only thing that changes here is the 0.15, 0.25 layer height, speed setting. There's quite a bit of settings that change for each one of these. But if you want to take a profile and duplicate it, you can hit duplicate. That'll basically copy that. This tells you where your profiles are. So you can hit locate. It'll tell you where these are stored. And then you can also delete. The show profiles for every machine doesn't really do anything. I don't really have any other machines, so that function is not going to do anything for us. So this is how you edit your profiles. We'll say done. Now to generate your G-code, I know we covered this in the other video. We'll talk through it again. You just go through here, select your layer size. Let's try 0.35 for a 12 by 12 plate. Click on raft support if you want a raft. If you want to do support, you go down here and either do exterior or full support. Exterior usually does the job. And these two have to, if you want to use support, you have to check this checkbox. There's no way around it. And this, so let's put this back to none. If this use default start and never check that, we don't use that. That'll just confuse your print. And then use print-o-matic. Click that if you want to experiment with it. And if you do check this, make sure you checked your print-o-matic, because these are really basic print-o-matic profiles. And the whole reason for print-o-matic is so you don't have to go in the Scheme Forge and change 10 to 15 different things. It's, you know, it's right here. This tries to calculate and figure out the best settings for your settings. So give it a try, see what you think. But we really only support the TF3D profiles, and I'm hoping to add more of these as the nozzle sizes get larger and our printers get larger. I've got a printer right now that'll do up to 27 inches in build height. So we're looking at doing like a 1.5 layer height, so you can really make some large objects when you don't really need this fine a detail. If you tried to print something that big with 0.15, you basically just, your machine would just shut down. There's so much G-code that it needs, so many layers. It's crazy. So let's take an object that requires, it's an inch tall, if we do it at 0.55, it takes 100 layers. If we go down to 0.15, you're probably talking about 1,000 layers. So this 0.15 prints amazing, but it's not going to work so well with really larger objects. So you really want to select 0.55, but you got to have big enough nozzle to be able to keep up with it. This one here at a 0.4 nozzles, when these were created, I could do up to a 0.55. I could get enough plastic to come out of the nozzle for that layer. But we're really looking forward to be able to swap our tips out easier and to be able to get to these bigger. We want really big prints. It's a lot of fun to print out something that that's over 20 inches tall, 16 inches wide. So that is how to edit slicing profiles. We will this will conclude this video, and we will see you in the next video.